Tu nous dis quand tu lances le signal.
Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir tout le monde. On va commencer notre réunion ce soir. We're going to get our meeting going underway. For those of you listening on the internet, we apologize. Apparently, we don't have video. We have a sound, so you can hear us, but you may not be able to see us tonight, which is probably not a bad thing, but that's a different story. So if I could have somebody move to open the meeting, je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yolande. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire de lundi 26 août 2024, tel que présenté.
Merci, la conseillère Yolande. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait. Merci. L'approbation des procès-verbaux.
Oui, je propose d'approuver les procès-verbaux de séance du conseil tenu aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire du 25 juin 2024, séance spéciale du 11 juillet 2024, séance spéciale du 31 juillet 2024.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, j'appuie, Monsieur le maire. Merci.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. On passe tout de suite au rapport du maire. We move right on to the mayor's report. Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir à tous. Another summer, more torrential downpours. The last storm, remnants of Tropical Storm Debbie, hit the Montreal area a few weeks ago. In Montreal-Ouest, we were relatively unscathed, whereas our neighbors in the West Island towns were savaged. Though a politician may try and take credit for it somehow, the reality is that we were likely spared because the bands of heaviest rains skirted by Montreal-West. These rainstorms will become more frequent. Our town will continue to adjust and work on our underground infrastructure to help cope with these events, but please do what you have to do in your own homes. Make sure you have functioning backflow valves and sump pumps. Une autre été, une autre pluie torrentielle. La dernière tempête majeure, les restants de la tempête Tropical Debbie, a frappé la région de Montréal il y a quelques semaines. À Montréal-Ouest, nous avons été relativement épargnés, alors que nos voisins dans les villes de l'ouest de l'île ont été sévèrement touchés. Bien qu'un politicien puisse tenter de s'attribuer la mérite de ce coup de chance, la réalité est que nous avons probablement été épargnés parce que les bandes de pluie les plus fortes ont contourné Montréal-Ouest. Ces tempêtes de pluie deviendront plus fréquentes. Notre ville s'adaptera et travaillera sur notre infrastructure souterraine pour aider à faire face à ces événements, mais s'il vous plaît, faites ce que vous devez faire dans vos propres maisons. Installez des clapets anti-retour et des pompes de puisard qui fonctionnent correctement. The fund continues dealing with the City of Montreal at the agglomeration level. One of our last points of contention concerns some of the work that Montreal is undertaking at Jean Mance Park. While that park is part of Parc Mont-Royal and thus falls under the Aglo, Montreal is trying to include some work being undertaken at a wading pool in Jean Mance. I'm comfortable saying that few, if any, residents of the demerged municipalities will take advantage of this wading pool at Jean Mance Park. Yes, they're following the letter of the law, but have a blatant disregard for the spirit of the law. Nous continuons à nous amuser avec la ville de Montréal au niveau de l'agglomération. Notre dernier point de discorde concerne les travaux entrepris par Montréal au parc Jean-Mance. Bien que ce parc fasse partie de Mont-Royal et que Mont-Royal relève de l'agglo, Montréal tente d'inclure des travaux entrepris dans une pataugeoire à Jean-Mance. Je suis à l'aise à dire qu'il y a peu ou presque pas de résidents des municipalités diffusionnées qui profiteront de cette pataugeoire au parc Jean-Mance. Oui, ils respectent la lettre de la loi, mais ils font preuve de mépris flagrant pour l'esprit de la loi. In closing, a brief update on the Sports and Recreation Center. Work is proceeding at a reasonable clip. While most of the envelope of the building is complete, the major work is now being undertaken with internal mechanical systems. I see the ventilation system is being installed, and as well I saw that the refrigeration system was delivered on site. In progress, construction of the interior masonry partitions underway, nearing completion. Plumbing, ventilation, and electrical work in progress. Roofing well advanced, quality control is underway, and the water connections are completed. Coming in September, construction of the utility footings, final backfill and preparation for the construction of the skating rink slab, and excavation of the swimming pools. The city is working hard with the contractor to get as much concrete work done as possible before winter conditions. Percentage of the work completed as of July was 48%, and today we've passed the 50% mark. It's a great looking building so far. Please drive by and see what we have coming for our community. Et pour terminer, une brève mise à jour sur le centre de sport et de récréation. Les travaux avancent à un rythme raisonnable. Si la partie majeure de l'enveloppe est achevée, les travaux les plus importants concernent maintenant les systèmes mécaniques internes. Je vois que le système de ventilation est en cours d'installation. De même, j'ai vu que le système de réfrigération a été livré sur place. En cours, il y a la construction des cloisons intérieures en maçonnerie en cours, presque achevées, les travaux de plomberie, ventilation et conduite d'électricité en cours, le toiture bien avancé, expertise de labo en cours pour assurer un contrôle de qualité, et les connexions au réseau d'eau réalisées. Ce qui reste à venir en septembre, la construction des massifs d'utilité publique, le remblai final et préparation en vue de construire la dalle de la patinoire et l'excavation des piscines. La Ville met des énergies pour collaborer avec l'entrepreneur afin d'avancer le plus des travaux de béton avant que les conditions hivernales. Le pourcentage d'avancement des travaux en date de juillet était à 48%. Aujourd'hui, nous avons franchi le 50%. Jusqu'à présent, le bâtiment a une fière allure. N'hésitez pas à vous y rendre et à voir ce que nous avons à offrir à notre communauté. Thank you. Please look after each other. We'll move on right away to the reports from the councillors, starting on seat number 2 on matters pertaining to public works, communications, and the environment. Councillor Elizabeth Hewlin.
Thank you very much. Bonsoir à tous. So the Public Works Department was involved in significant repairs throughout July and August, maintaining catch basins, manholes, and roads and sidewalk surfaces. And this work will continue well into September. In addition, the street line painting was completed and a new water fountain was installed in the dog park, and the public tree maintenance has been ongoing. Coming up, the town is planning a fall public tree campaign. You may have already received a letter if the right-of-way in front of your home has been selected for a street tree. Locations are still being vetted, however, so you may receive a note in September if your property has been chosen. Switching to the environmental portfolio now, the department is currently analyzing measures to enhance the long-term sustainability of our tree canopy and working on ways to optimize our waste management system. The Environmental Action Committee, or the EAC, was on hiatus for the summer, but will be starting up again in September with lots on the agenda, including projects around waste reduction, biodiversity, eco-business incentives, air quality, and the circular economy, among other things. Cet été, le service de communication a collaboré avec des partenaires externes comme EXO, le STM, la Ville de Montréal et des entrepreneurs. Deuxièmement, ils ont informé le public sur les nombreux projets de construction tels que le projet d'aqueduc et le pavage du chemin Avon. Troisièmement, ils ont travaillé avec le service de loisirs pour promouvoir les séries culturelles d'été et la programmation liée au camp. Et finalement, poursuivre de la mise à jour du site Internet. So that's it for me. I'd be pleased to answer any of your questions during question period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hewlin. Councillor Feeney couldn't be with us this evening, but she did submit a report that I'll read now. She has it broken down into her departments. Finance. Water meter cards will be mailed to residents September 3rd with water meter readings due September 26th. We encourage you to submit your readings online. Residents can attach a photo of their meter if they prefer. Water tax bills will be mailed October 22nd with payment due November 21st. These dates will be published in the Informer and the e-bulletin. We have started the process for sale for non-payment of taxes. Notices for 2022 unpaid property taxes were sent out on July 23rd and August 12th. Residents have until September 9th to contact us in order to avoid public notice. For disbursements of $3,354,399 for the past 2 months. The main expenditures included $2.2 million for the new recreation center, $497,000 for benefits and deductions at source, $91,000 for garbage recycling and compost, $58,000 for infrastructure work, including water regulators and the network, $57,000 for the second installment of CMM, and $57,000 for various contracts, including line marking, electrical, hydrant, and drain work. The Recreation Department, Special Events, Canada Day July 1st was a huge success, thanks to volunteers, Public Works, Public Security, and all those who attended. It was a record crowd. All the activities were free, as was the Canada Cake, which disappeared very quickly. Thanks to Heritage Canada for their grant. October 27th, there will be a documentary, Under the Stars in Davies Park, entitled Invisible Demons. Saturday, December 21st, from 10 to 2, there will be a pop-up event in Davies Park, which will include the Blue Mondays Jazz Band. Please call the Community Center to book a table. See the e-bulletin website and Facebook for a full list of events. Artist Showcase à Vitrine des Artistes. La date limite de soumission pour l'exposition d'automne est le 20 septembre et la thème est photographie été 2024. Voir sur le site web pour plus de détails. Community Center, registration for Fall 2024, Winter and Spring 25 is open. Early bird prices for all seasons end on August 31st. Fall programs begin September 9th. Please see the list of new programs on Amelia. Les inscriptions aux activités d'automne, d'hiver et de printemps sont maintenant ouvertes. Les prix spéciaux des préinscriptions aux 3 sessions seront en vigueur jusqu'au 31 août. S'il vous plaît, consultez le brochure en ligne pour plus de détails. New dates for Parents' Night Off include Friday, September 27th, Friday, October 18th, and Saturday, November 30th. The camp season ended with a bang with our annual Camp Bash with more than 200 participants in our variety show. Over 350 kids participated in camp this summer, and a big thank you to our camp coordinator, Alex Chosha, and her staff for ensuring another successful, safe, and fun summer for the kids at camp. Even without a pool of our own, we maintained aquatics program this summer with the support of the City of Côte-Saint-Luc. With over 200 participants in our swim and dive teams, Aquafit, and Masters program, we managed to keep the swim community spirit alive. Thank you to all the coaches, teachers, and volunteers that made this happen. The swim team even managed to go undefeated this season and will move up one competition section next summer. A big thanks to our super volunteer, Annie Brown, who is taking a well-earned retirement as the Alps representative after 11 years. And for the seniors portfolio, the group had several activities this summer, including a barbecue, dining out, a boat trip, and an intergenerational tea. Upcoming activities include a senior brunch on September 12th, a theater trip on September 18th, and the next active walking group excursion takes place on September 10th with a trip to La Fontaine Park. Please call the Community Center to sign up for all these events. N'hésitez pas à me contacter si vous avez des questions. Merci, thank you. Colleen. So thank you, Councillor Feeney. Reporting from seat number 4 on matters pertaining to the urban planning, Councillor Maria Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bonne soirée à vous tous. In the last 2 months, the Urban Planning Department issued 81 permits in total. These permits included construction of new fences, decks and porches, walkway excavations, public intervention, as well as home renovations. There were 6 notices sent for work without permits, maintenance of buildings, or lack of maintenance of buildings, and non-compliant work. 1 fine was issued for work without permits. During the above-mentioned period, the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, met twice and reviewed a total of 18 files. Next PAC meetings will be held on September 4th and on the 25th of 2024. The deadline to submit complete files to PAC is 2 weeks prior to the meetings. Les prochaines réunions du comité consultatif d'urbanisme aura lieu les 4 et les 25 septembre 2024. Les dates limites pour soumettre les dossiers complets au CCU sont de 2 semaines avant la réunion. Today I want to talk to you about a little project that I'm working, and because I need a little bit of assistance. In October, probably the beginning of October, I will start working on a project which I'm looking for 2 to 3 volunteers to work with me. As many of you know, the block tower is temporarily closed. There is a high level of humidity in the building, which is affecting the infrastructure of the building, as well as risking the preservation of all the materials stored in that tower. The town would like to have the building inspected and to find the source of the problem and to determine the best course of action to have the problem fixed. However, before that can be done, all the documents, photographs, and artifacts housed at the tower need to be cataloged, properly wrapped, and packed in safe boxes. I estimate that this project might take a few days. If this is something that might interest you, please contact me via email at mtorres@montréal-ouest.ca before the end of September. Thank you. Aujourd'hui, j'aimerais demander votre aide. En octobre, je vais commencer un projet pour lequel je recherche 2 ou 3 bénévoles pour travailler avec moi. Comme beaucoup d'entre vous le savent, le block tower est temporairement fermé. Le niveau d'humidité dans les bâtiments est élevé, ce qui affecte l'infrastructure de la bâtisse et met en péril la préservation de tous les matériaux entreposés dans la tour. La ville aimerait faire l'inspection des bâtiments pour trouver les sources du problème et déterminer les meilleures marches à suivre pour résoudre les problèmes. Cependant, avant que cela puisse être fait, tous les documents, photographies et artefacts conservés dans la tour doivent être catalogués, correctement emballés et mettre dans boîte. J'estime que ce projet prendra quelques jours. Si cela vous intéresse, veuillez me contacter par courriel à mtorres@montréal-ouest.ca avant la fin du mois de septembre. Merci. Last, just to remind you once again that if you're planning to carry out any works on your property, you should always verify with the Urban Planning Department whether the project work requires a permit or not, and that all permit requests and applications can be done via the town's website. Juste pour vous rappeler que si vous prévoyez effectuer des travaux sur votre propriété, vous devez toujours vérifier après les services d'urbanisme ou le département de l'urbanisme si les travaux projetés nécessitent ou non un permis et que toutes les demandes de permis et les demandes peuvent être faites via le site web de la ville. C'est tout pour moi ce soir. If you have any questions or commentaries, please do not hesitate to contact me. À bientôt. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Torres. And reporting from seat number 1 on matters pertaining to public security, Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Thank you, everybody, for being with us this evening. So hopefully everybody had a nice summer. Donc, en espérant que tout le monde a passé une belle été. So, of course, public security, along with SPVM, Recreation and Public Works, help to coordinate security for Canada Day. Donc, on aimerait remercier la SPVM, Département de récréation et travaux publics avec sécurité publique pour la fête du Canada. Donc, on aimerait aussi remercier le PDQ 9 pour la sécurisation de Westminster, pour qu'on est capable d'avoir notre parade et aussi les événements dans le parc. We have been continuing, of course, to supervise, and we appreciate everybody's patience with regards to the major Montreal agglomeration construction project for the new 600 millimeter aqueduct. We work with Public Works, urban planning, and public security work together to see how we can ensure that inconveniences are reduced, but we are very aware that there are a number of detours around the town, in NDG, in Montreal, and we continue to work with our partners to see how we can do this as efficiently as possible. And again, we do appreciate your patience. The line painting, road marking has been completed. I think you've seen some of it around the town to make sure that people are safe and secure with regards to the line painting. Since we can't close all of the parking lots at once, we stagger the work. So tonight we will be finishing the work on Percival and Northview lots, and the PSOs, of course, will need to ticket or tow any vehicles that are impeding the work. This, of course, is after permit holders were informed and signs being posted. Donc, j'aimerais aussi juste répéter en français que la peinture pour les démarquer les lignes est maintenant complétée. Maintenant, on coordonne avec les travaux publics pour terminer nos lots de stationnement. Ce soir, nous terminons la peinture sur le stationnement sur Percival et Northview. S'il vous plaît, s'assurer que les véhicules n'empêchent pas les travaux. Les détenteurs des permis se sont déjà avisés. Pour les pancartes sont déjà installées. Ceci termine les travaux pour peinturer les lignes. Donc, merci beaucoup. Of course, we continue to work with urban planning to make sure that people do have their permits for construction. We also, I don't know if everybody's aware, but we do offer a service where we can look in on people's homes when you are away for the summer or other vacations. So let us know, let public security know, and we can definitely go by and make sure that's part of our route. We have also made sure that we're, of course, part of the training, up-to-date training, and we had court liaison officers who worked with our PSOs to review some procedures to learn new ones, including some useful strategies on preparing dossiers for various bylaw infractions. And of course, Public Works worked with Public Security on installing street handicap parking spot to accommodate one of our residents, and we're currently processing another request. Of interest as well is that on June 28th, I think everybody's well aware of the motel, the famous or infamous Motel Saint-Jacques, which is behind Parmalat, and that the SPVM had raided the motel and seized the property. There are a number of crime going on that property for a number of years, and it's important for the town of Montreal-Ouest because a number of the crimes that we were experiencing in the town were actually generating from individuals that were residing within that property. So that property has now been seized, and because it was within walking distance of the town and very easily to access in and out of the town, so we're hoping as well that will reduce some of the crime that we've had experience with regards to some of the break-ins to some of the vehicles. There was a interesting article in the Montreal Gazette, and the stats were that this motel was the site of 25% of the arrest warrants issued for the entire territory of NDG, Hampstead, Côte Saint-Luc, and Montreal-West. That's quite significant in terms of closing down that property. And we also want to thank our public security officers as well. I think one of them is in the room behind there. On June 26th at around 2:40 a.m., PSO noticed that there was a fire on somebody's property and alerted the appropriate authorities who were able to extinguish the fire before there was any damage. Schools are going back this week, so we're hoping people exercise patience, and we'll make sure PSOs are visible around the schools and that parking and no stopping regulations are respected. Donc, le retourner au scolaire, c'est cette semaine. Donc, juste s'assurer d'être prudente et patiente. Merci beaucoup. And of course, given the road closures on Sherbrooke and Broughton for the Montreal Water Infrastructure Project occurred after schools and at the end of the summer. So we may notice, of course, especially after Labor Day, there's going to be a lot more traffic in the area with people going back to work, a lot more volume to manage as well. So we ask that people, look at schedules, continue to look at the town website as well with regards to any potential delays. And of course, it's going to be a little bit more hectic. And again, just watch out for the students that will be going to our high schools and our 2 elementary schools. And of course, very close to our own territory is Loyola High School as well. So just ensure that. Just want to repeat, I had an article in the Informer this month about railway security and safety. And we're very happy that we'll be working with our partners with the SPVM with CN, CP, and EXO with regards to raising awareness. Rail Safety Awareness Week is the week of September 23rd. Donc, pour s'assurer la sécurité de la voie ferroviaire, on travaille avec nos partenaires, avec la SPVM, avec EXO, CN et CP, pour s'assurer la sécurité de la voie ferroviaire. On est tout en sachant qu'on a une problématique au niveau de Sherbrooke et Westminster qu'on essaie de travailler avec, mais on va continuer de travailler avec nos partenaires pour s'assurer la sécurité de nos résidents et aussi les personnes qui traversent cette section toujours. Donc, merci beaucoup. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me during the question period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. We're going to move to the first question period. At our first question period, we answer questions from the floor for a maximum of 25 minutes. We limit it to 2 questions per person. A short preamble, your first question, and a follow-up question if you want. And I'll remind you, it's a question period, it's not a debate period. After questions from the floor, we answer questions from residents that have been submitted online until 2 p.m. today on any topic. Same rule applies, 25 minutes total, 2 questions per person maximum. In the second question period, we take questions pertaining only to the agenda submitted via our website during the meeting. We limit it to 10 minutes from the floor and 10 minutes online. Lors de notre première période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions de la salle pendant un maximum de 25 minutes. Nous le limiterons à 2 questions par personne, une courte préambule, votre première question et une question de suivi si vous le souhaitez. Et je vous rappelle que c'est une période de questions et non une période de débat. Après les questions de la salle, nous répondrons aux questions des résidents qui avaient été soumis en ligne jusqu'à 14 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Les mêmes règles s'appliquent. 25 minutes au total et 2 questions par personne maximum. Lors de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumises via notre site web lors de cette réunion. Nous le limiterons à 10 minutes depuis la salle et 10 minutes pour l'online. We're going to start then with our in-person. So please step up to the microphone, state your name and your address for the file, and ask your questions, and we'll see what we can do to get the answers for you.
Good evening, Council. Ian Robinson. Hope everybody had a good summer.
Not bad.
And I just want to acknowledge the fabulous 4 sitting here. Didn't I see you guys in a movie? No, joking.
Mr. Robinson, just your address for the file, please.
What was that, sorry?
I just need your address for the file, please.
My what, sorry?
Your address.
Oh, yeah, 143 Valentine North.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Just to pick up Councillor Lauren's points about the construction. So I just had a couple of observations and maybe a couple of questions. The first has to do with the new bus route going down Valentine and Brock. It's very convenient, so when I walk out my house, I can pop on the bus. But was there any thought about alternating the bus route in a different part of Montreal-West so we could sort of all share in the, inconvenience of having to go by every 30 minutes? And I'll give you an example where I was thinking, but it was just a question.
If you can just, Mr. Robinson, do you know which bus route it is, just so I have a better...
162.
The 162.
Yeah, the 162
and
bus.
coming down Valentine?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any information on that? I'm sure it's probably temporary related to the work.
But it's been going on 2 months now.
Yeah, for that work. So,
Yeah.
no, Mr. Robinson, I don't have a better answer as to what goes on and where. The STM, they'll tell us we want to come down
Yeah.
Valentine, and there's not too much else that we can.
So they're the ones sort of driving it, I guess.
Using the better expression, they're definitely the ones driving that bus.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah, they're definitely the ones driving
Yeah.
that bus. But we can raise it with them, but I just can't promise that anything is going to change.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Robinson, Ian, I think that also they try to get a route that's closest, Valentine North being, directly parallel, being able to get access right
Yeah.
to Sherbrooke as well for them, and also to get very close to where the roundabout is.
Yeah.
Was part of that decision. But yes, unfortunately, due to the ongoing construction around town, Brock North and Valentine North have both seen an uptick in volume of traffic, right? One that's going northbound and one that's going southbound. And the one that's obviously going northbound on Brock
Yeah.
is bringing people to the wider construction that's the construction that's going on to bring people onto Fielding, because we know that we really can't get out of that section unless we get onto Brock North.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
There was some comments here in the last Informer about the work that was done just over here, coordinating with Sherbrooke. And I guess you had no alternative but to do the work when it was done, probably because of commitments from the contractors.
It wasn't even that. You know what it
Yeah.
was, Mr. Robinson? This work, we had received a grant to do this work 2 years ago. We delayed the work because we knew we had pipes to do underneath it.
Yeah.
And we've been pushing Montreal because our pipes have to coordinate with the work that they have to do on their side.
Sure.
They're not able to do the work, so the pipes aren't getting done right away. So we didn't want to leave the money sitting on the table. We had
Yeah.
a time limit. I said, let's at least repave, make it at least comfortable for now. But there's questions saying, yeah, we're going to have to rip it up. Absolutely, we're going to have to rip it up eventually. But I don't know if that's going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, when Montreal gets their act together so we can do the work together.
I mean, it was so nice. I've been driving back and forth all day on it.
Yeah,
It's the smoothest
nice,
part
yeah.
of Montreal.
Yeah, and you know
No.
what? And it's been holding. I looked at the one going down the hill. It's been holding so far.
Yeah.
That one's 2 seasons old already now, so it's not that bad, but we'll see.
So
It wasn't ideal.
So just another question on, the Friday was a bit of a disaster, as we all know.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
I happened to take 20 minutes up at Westminster there, and I was watching the procession over the tracks around, making the U-turn back and like this. So, given the fact that some of us, more than others, I would say, are sharing the pain of the construction, like my neighbor Lauren and I with the 162, my friends on Brock. So the question I'm going to have is, we knew this work was going to be done. We knew that there would be inconvenience, right? And I spoke to some of my friends that live over here. Why was the barrier not lifted over here for a temporary period through
Which barrier, Mr. Robinson?
the Devil's Hill?
Um,
Because I'll tell you why. Because that day on the Friday, for me to get out where I was, I'm finished here, but that's my point. It took me to get down there. I had to go over by the Petro-Canada. It was backed up to get, because I couldn't get out to the West Island. It took me 45 minutes to get from the Petro-Canada onto the highway. However, people I know were coming up over the barrier to get into the southwest part here. So
right.
could we consider in the future, if this happens, that we can make an exception so we can all sort of help each other out
I think
as
that-
neighbors?
I think that's a fair discussion, Mr.
Yeah.
Robinson. I think, though, that because that was such
You
a hot
understand?
issue-
You understand where I'm coming
Yeah,
from?
100%.
Yeah.
That was a hot issue, and if we can get wind of it ahead of time and have the discussion with them as well, saying, listen, we have to do this, it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days while we're doing this crap over here, I think that's something that may be able to fly, but it's something that needs to be done a little bit ahead of time, a little bit of work ahead of time, but it's definitely something to consider.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yes, hang on a second.
Yeah,
Lauren,
and
you
I
have
also just wanted to add as well, you're aware that there are properties of Montreal-West that are right around Devil's Hill, and I can tell you that people, even as you said, with the barriers, are still driving
Yeah.
driving on people's lawns and properties, so.
to
the
get around
community-
the bollards over
Exactly.
there, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're looking, the Community Safety Committee is looking at, ways in which we can impede that on a daily basis. But yes, exceptionally, when there may be issues of this nature where the traffic is havoc just because of all the construction going, it's something we could look at. But there are some serious safety and security issues for people who continue to ignore the bollards and are just using it. And I can tell you the majority of people are not even Montreal-Westers. They're people who are commuting around the area in Côte Saint-Luc and NDG to circumvent the traffic, which is very, very dangerous, and they're constantly driving on this person's property. So we are looking at ways of enhancing that, but at the same time, if there are, again, exceptions where we can look at that, we will do so. But again, having to make sure it maintains security, because
No, sure.
again, people don't always observe, the ordinances and what have you. So just want to make sure that we
Yeah,
maintain some.
I understand. I just want
area.
to hope that council understands about sharing the pain when we're doing projects. Like we are in Valentine, we're sharing the 162 every 30 minutes. So my point being over here would have been just a couple of days. It would have helped out a lot of people. We could have avoided, this. We could have swung through there and down. Yeah. So that's my point. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Which one? You want this one here, Colleen? Yeah, yours. Right.
Yeah, like this. Because when you're speaking to
Go.
them,
Yep.
like,
Oh, okay. I had it over here, sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I'm put on this side. I understand that side. Thank you.
Okay, good to go.
I'm sorry about that. Go
Okay,
ahead,
no
sir.
problem.
Allez-y, monsieur.
Tony Chamberlaino, 131 Valentine South.
Yes.
The maple tree in front of my house that's on the city portion of the land has a red X on it, and I just want to know, what does that mean? And if it's slated to be cut down, I'm willing to put money, invest in that tree, because I really like that tree. It provides good shade for my house. I'm willing to invest if there's work that can be done to save that tree. So I'd like to know, what does that X mean on the tree?
Elizabeth, do you know that answer?
It almost certainly means it's scheduled. What street did you say you're on again?
Valentine South, 131.
Okay, I don't know the tree, but generally that will mean that it's slated to be cut, and generally that means that it's dangerous. So is it a large tree?
It's a large tree.
It's probably a
40-year-old.
it's probably one of the silver maples. Unfortunately, those trees, there are a lot of them in the town are at the end of their lifespan. It's very sad because they're huge, and we'd like to be able to save all of them, but when we can't, we have to fell them.
Well, I just want to make the offer that if it's
No, I
if it's
really
something
appreciate that. No.
requires investment, I'll personally do the
Okay.
investment.
Yeah,
to save
generally
it.
it's not an investment issue, it's generally a safety issue.
Okay.
Because we also will invest a lot in the trees to keep them, because
Mm-hmm.
actually it's very expensive just cutting them down. It's thousands of dollars
Yeah.
just to cut them down and then plant a new one. So it's in our interest to try to save what we can, but if we can't, and we see that it's a public danger, then they'll be taken down.
And do we get advised of when it's going to be cut
You
down?
should be advised a few days before it's going to come down that they'll be at the property.
So-
Yeah.
And I'm just going to just add something. Councillor Torres thinks that in the past they used to put an X when we were doing the triason.
No, that's not anymore. We're not doing that anymore. So that was for
It's not an ash, right?
that was
It's
for
not an
ash
It's
trees.
it's an X. It's a
No,
red
no, no.
X.
But I'm saying the kind of tree.
Yeah, and
It's a
what they
maple.
did in the
It's a
past
maple.
was for the triazine, which was the vaccination for the ash trees, they put a dot, not an X.
Yeah, no.
A big X is
Yeah,
that's
but
that's
this
what
is a
it
maple
means.
tree, so
yeah.
it wouldn't have been
yeah,
vaccinated.
that's what it means.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chamberlain.
Kathy Menorgan, 8018 Avon. I would like to ask the council if they could please do something about hurrying up the opening of the north sidewalk on Avon for the school kids. It's a third school year starting when it's been blocked, and there's school kids get off the bus and they wander all over Saint-Jacques. And there is more traffic. There's definitely, in the summer, more traffic since they closed all the roads around. And I really am concerned. And I don't see why they can close a sidewalk for a garbage bin. Like, to me, it should be open.
So, Mrs. Menorgan, that's a very fair comment you're making. We're actually meeting with the developer because we've had like about 10 questions, I think, on our online today, people asking what the heck's going on with the project. So we're actually meeting with the developers tomorrow to see what the progress is, and these kind of issues will be brought up to them. Are we ready to move that garbage pail? Are we ready to move some of the junk over here? So those are all things that will be brought up with them tomorrow.
Okay. And one more thing that didn't come up in all the discussions on Facebook about the road closures is they diverted all the traffic on Ronald Drive. And I know it's not in Montreal-Ouest territory, but there's a light at St. Anne de Bellevue that allows about 5 cars through, and that's it. And on the Tuesday, when they paved, they finally put somebody to
Wave the cars through.
move the cars through, and it worked better, but it was a terrible mess. So it's just something, if you ever have to close Avon again, that's another little point of breakdown.
Fair enough.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mrs. Menorgan.
Hello, I'm Linda Gales, and I live on 413 Smart Avenue. Now, I'd like to know how come there's no speed bumps on Radcliffe, because Radcliffe is like a drag strip, and nobody stops at the stop signs, and, you know, I'm getting fed up about it, because there's been a few near accidents right in front of my house, and it's serious. And there's children around there. There's all these little kids, you know, it's not right. And nobody stops at stop signs.
Okay, so.
Even the bikes, nobody. And the other night, apparently the other night, there was a man who was walking his dog. He lived in Côte Saint-Luc. He was walking up the road, and there was this guy on one of those electric bikes. He was zooming through all the stop signs, and this poor guy with his big dog, and the dog was going crazy, and he kept on saying, "Stop, stop." And the guy says, "Oh, you're just racist." I don't think so. He should have stopped at every stop sign coming up Smart Avenue. It's not right. And there's hardly any police that sit around. There used to be, a long time ago, police used to sit there and catch them all. But now I haven't seen cops there in a long time.
I believe you submitted, did you submit a question online as well?
She did.
Yeah.
Yes?
Same
Okay.
question, yes, it was number 12.
So there is a request to investigate, another neighbor had asked to investigate speeding on Moseley North between Edinburgh and Radcliffe. So I'm assuming this is around the area.
Yeah.
So the Community Safety Committee is going to be looking at that in September when we resume. I did let that resident know that it does help us when complaints are officially launched with the SPVM. So the PDQ-9, which is the SPVM station on the corner of Côte Saint-Luc and
Yeah, I
Westminster.
know what it is, yes.
Their community liaison officer sits on our community safety committee. So it helps when a resident sends an official complaint. So what I'll do is I'll email you the link, because for vehicular issues such as not stopping, speeding, is not within the purview of bylaw officers, but is part of the vehicular code. So they're the only ones that can issue some kind of a fine. So once we're able to have that study completed, I can inform you of what the results are. And then at the same time, if you can also provide an official complaint to SPVM 9, it would be very helpful. So I'll send you the link. I'll reply to your email later this evening or tomorrow.
Yes, but we need speed bumps. We had speed bumps one time. And
So-
then in winter, they took it up. It was the steel one, and it's the best thing. They should have them at every stop sign. I'm telling you, they speed through and they do not stop.
So this is what
It's very dangerous.
I completely
You know?
understand your
And the
concerns.
police, all this stuff here, we have to do something now. Put speed bumps. The people have to stop. Stop at the stop signs. There's tons of kids running to the park and going to school down the street. It's not right.
So like I said, it's part of our agenda, and we will definitely have the study complete, and I'll get back to you. It doesn't take long for the study to be complete, and it's better for it to actually happen once the traffic picks up, in terms of
traffic.
volume.
You should see the traffic on Radcliffe. It's unbelievable. When my kids were growing up, they used to play street hockey in front of the house.
Unfortunately, it's not the same world, Mrs. Kellerman. That's the way it is right now.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's not the same world.
These guys that are driving through the stop signs are ridiculous. I mean, they whip around that corner at 40 kilometers an hour. I mean,
And those are your neighbors.
that's the neighbors.
Those aren't even through.
That's right. And they
Valentine and
live,
Brock,
like,
those are through.
down
The-
near Sheraton.
where you are, those are your neighbors
cul-de-sac.
there.
It's all them.
Anyway,
It's not right.
fair point, Mrs.
I
Kellerman.
yell
Thank
at them. I scream. I tell them to slow down, because there's like a little bend after the other street. There's like a little bend, and that's when they really,
you. Mrs. Kellerman, okay, so if you have another question, otherwise I'm going to move on to the next person.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I will get back to you with the link, Ms. Skillman. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Karen D'Alessio. I'm 464 Ballantyne North. I'd like to address my problem to the mayor, whether if he's aware or not. We've been complaining for the last 2.5 years to have speed bumps, a stop sign, and also a speed sign, which there's none on Westover between Westminster and Sunnybrook. Since then, the traffic has increased. We don't mind so much the traffic, but what we mind is the speed of the traffic. It seems to be a one-way traffic from Westminster to Sunnybrook. Some of them are obeying the law. Others, they just go in between 50, 60, 70 kilometers an hour in that little stretch of road. And there's people, elder, like me, crossing the street. Our pace is not as much as fast as the 20 years old. There's also wheelchairs that crosses in between Sunnybrook and Cranbrook. And one of these days, there's going to be an accident, which will, I hope not, but just not going to be pretty.
So, Councillor Small Pennyfather, is this on your agenda for your
I'm-
committee?
I've actually spoken to Mr. D'Alessio a few times, and I have been in touch with Côte St. Luc because, as we talked about, the signage would have to go on that part of the street that borders on Côte St. Luc. So I will have a discussion with them again this week. We will conduct another study because the study that was conducted was quite a while ago. And in terms of the Ministère des Transports du Québec, there's certain thresholds that they have to have, and it's not even the town of Montréal-Ouest, but it's the Ministère des Transports du Québec, as I had explained. And we need to see what those thresholds are. So that's what the study will help us conclude, but also the information that we need to get from Côte St. Luc, because as you know, that a flashing stop was removed by the city of Côte St. Luc, and I want to know what kind of information that they used in terms of why they removed it, why they didn't replace it. And I understand that you have a concern in that particular area. So I will get back to you later this week when I do convene with my colleagues from Côte St. Luc to see, as I had said, that we talked to public security was in that email, as were two councillors. One was the councillor who was responsible for that ward, and the other councillor from Côte St. Luc was responsible for the liaison with public security. So I'm hoping that they'll get back to me and give me some evidence-based information in terms of how we can improve safety and security in that particular sector of the town.
Yeah. And my next question is why it took so long to get to it, to get an answer. And I noticed the NDG, Côte St. Luc, Hampstead, they're putting speed bumps all over the place. Now, are those cities or towns exempt by the Quebec government? Are we the black sheep? I agree with the lady just spoke before me. We need speed bumps to save an injury or worse.
So there's criteria. So I don't know, I have to see the particular areas that you're speaking of, but I know there's criteria with regards to the volume. If it's a major street, we talked about this, a major street or a minor street. So I have to see where those particular sectors are, but they can't, towns and municipalities cannot just install speed bumps. There has to be some kind of empirical evidence or information. That's why we conduct these studies, to ensure that we have the information so that we can install the appropriate safety or security measures. And if it does require a speed bump, we will install a speed bump.
Please, I hope that it's going to be done soon.
I understand, Mr. D'Alessio.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. D'Alessio. Go ahead, Mr. Novak.
Hi, good evening. James Novak, 452 Ballantyne Avenue North. Just for the record, I just want to second the motion and just illustrate to the panel and the mayor that there's 4 other neighbors here that have exactly the same concern. I have that concern as well because they do speed, and then at the same time they ignore the sign for going straight on Westover, and they'll make a left to try and beat the traffic on Westminster between Westover. So it is a very, very dangerous situation. But I have another concern I'd like to address.
Please, go ahead,
That's
Mr.
on the
Novak.
corner of Westminster and Radcliffe.
Okay.
That's an accident waiting to happen. A lot of blind spots, buses on both sides. The markings are never done. It's the same markings all the time, and they're done really at the end of, I don't know what the timing is for the markings there, but I'm talking about the crosswalk. The lighting up ahead, I don't know if those are low sodium, but it's terrible lighting. I do a lot of walking with my wife and with my dog, and I'm telling you, there's been near accidents there, and I know one of my neighbors already got hit by a car while trying to pass that intersection there. So I don't understand why they cannot put better markings, better lighting, and a great example of that, and I do a lot of walking in Montréal-Ouest, is on the corner of Brock South and Avon. They have a silhouette there, the bonhomme. It works perfectly. But I've been there, there's very little volume of pedestrians. On this particular intersection, there are so many, there's 2 buses that stop side to side, there's blind spots, people get out from the back, they run around the bus, and then they have these people, because they used to have the motorist as a red stoplight on the corner of Westover and Westminster. Now they're not even stopping. They try it, because there's always traffic. If they get a stretch, they try and beat the stop sign. By the time they get to Radcliffe and Westminster, they're flying. Some of them don't even stop at the stop. So that's one of my concerns.
So I appreciate that, Mr.
Okay.
Novak. We did do the lighting on the hump bridge. So the lighting on the hump bridge was done maybe 3 years ago. They went to high-efficiency LED lights, and the lights there are much brighter than the sodiums that were there before, the low sodiums that were there
That's
before.
over the bridge.
That's at the bridge, like pretty
I
much
don't-
from Radcliffe going up
I
and
don't
over
see
them.
any LEDs there.
Oh yeah, they're there. Those lights are much stronger than what
See
used to be there.
The low sodium, the yellow
No, they're not
ones.
low sodium. They're actually bright white, the ones that are on the hump bridge.
Over and above the sodium that
Yeah,
are
there's
there?
no more
I'll have to
sodiums there.
take-
It's only the LEDs
We're
on
talking
them.
Radcliffe and Westminster.
I'm
Now when we
talking
go over the
Radcliffe, I'm
bridge-
talking Westminster going, like from the corner, going up and over the bridge.
Once you go over the bridge.
No, I'm talking short of the bridge.
Yeah.
That's where
Short
the
of the
problem
bridge.
is. Yeah,
Okay.
heading north,
And in terms,
heading south, rather.
in terms of the markings, unfortunately, that's part of the problems that we're having these days. You're not allowed to use lead-based paints anymore, so they have to be water-based paints. So you put them on in May, and if you're lucky, if they last till September.
But
They
why-
never last over the
Why
winter.
can't you get a silhouette of that bonhomme there?
That's a
with the
different story.
flashing lights and...
That's a different story completely. That's something that we can discuss, and that's something that we can do. They're not hard,
No.
not hard to put them in place, and they're usually, like, some of them are powered by they're solar powered. So
Right.
there are things that we can do. That's something we can
And
look
I
at.
hate to bring up the speed bumps again, but that would be a great, I know there's buses there and they don't like speed bumps.
They won't let us put speed
They won't
bumps,
let,
no,
okay.
on Westminster.
Okay, I have another question.
Shoot.
I want to know why isn't it standardized in every playground, recreational area in a park, that you have a toilet, if there's no comfort station, and a fountain, a water fountain. People want to walk in Montreal-West, we have friends, none of them want to come to Montreal-West. They said there's nowhere to relieve ourselves, no bathrooms, and no fountains. And I see comfort stations like the one off of Strathern Park, I don't know, not the Tobe Lake, the other one. There's huge comfort station. They must have facility there, they must have water and toilet. Hasn't been maintained for 40 years that I know of. The whole roof is caving in, all the shingles are falling. People are even afraid to walk by it. There's a path right along. They're afraid that the roof's gonna cave in on them. So-
On Strathern Park?
No, that's, you're talking about up north of the hump?
No, I'm talking, did I say Strathern?
Yeah. You
Sheraton.
Sheraton.
Oh, Sheraton,
Sorry,
okay.
Sheraton, where Tobe Lake is, the
Yeah.
park opposite Tobe Lake.
Yeah.
So no,
I
that's
don't know what the name of that is.
Mushroom Park. We used to call it Mushroom Park.
Mushroom Park,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's not a comfort station. What that is a pumping station.
Oh, it's not a comfort.
It's not a
No.
comforting
Okay.
station. It's a pumping station. That's where the meters, when we
Okay.
buy water from Montreal, that's where the meters are located.
Okay.
Okay.
It
It's not a
has-
comfort station.
Okay, it has a fountain there, but there's no facilities, there's no.
And I don't know that we have any facilities in any of our parks,
But
Mr.
why
Novak?
isn't there any? Like at least a Johnny on the spot, excuse the expression, so somebody could go in.
Yeah.
People can't, where do you go?
Yeah. And then we'll have 10 other people complaining that they're ugly and they smell.
No, I know they're putting on one
Yeah.
finally in Strathern,
Yeah.
but it's long overdue. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Novak.
Cynthia Nichols, 25 Westminster South. Two comments, two questions. I want, as I was coming back from the bathroom, I overheard Lauren speaking about the Motel St. John. Now, we've had 20 new residents move into the green space that we were cleaning up. And I want you to realize that out of all of those 20, there were 2 of color. Those were your children and your grandchildren. Those were 2 young girls that I reunited with their families. I want you to understand that the opioid crisis is real and it's affecting our people here on this land. So, please don't speak of them as those people and, the crime rate. Yes, the pills cost $10, and if they can walk into a house that has a window open and they can take a little knick-knack or whatever it is, they're going to get their hit, they're going to get their fix. And that goes on all day long. So that's where you need to address that issue, not a crime. It's not a crime issue. It's a consumption issue. I've seen it firsthand. Second question, comment about the speed bumps. Now, I've been sitting at the library observing what's been going on. Do you know how many of our residents are almost killed on a daily basis? Seriously, I can name them. Today, 3 of our elderly residents, and I'm not including myself because I'm not 65 yet, but almost there. Seriously, yeah, you've got to do something. I mean, they're just whizzing by. A lady with a baby carriage, for goodness sakes.
Can I ask you, Mrs. Nichols, which corner were you at today?
I'm speaking
Milner?
right in front of Milner.
Okay, very good.
The Patisserie de Gare, the tea section.
And I think that's
At the
something you've already
library.
been discussing.
I just
with
sit
me.
there and I
Yeah.
watch exactly who is doing what. I
Thank you.
see them texting, I see them smoke. It's incredible. And there's no one regulating any of that. So that speed bump right there might actually be a good thing. Another thing about my question to you. Whose decision was it to pave the roads this Friday? It's Friday, it's Studio Art Friday, and yes, I've come to the conclusion that there will be construction buoys in front of my house and arrows of digging and whatever else. We get that. The entire community, if not all of Montreal, understands that on Friday, Cynthia's house will be bombarded with construction dudes. We get that. But the fact is that I actually saw a fireman on his route to whatever it is they do, probably, extinguish a fire or something. And he actually had to turn the truck around, and I saw him get out of the truck and march up to one of the construction people, who was then told he had to go speak to somebody else. And I'm saying to him, I followed, and I took videotape of it because I couldn't believe this is happening in the 21st century. This is like prehistoric almost. We can't do that. I mean, there are lives and homes and,
The decision kind of like made itself, I have to be honest with Ms. Nichols.
Yeah, but you should have informed them so they would have made
They were well informed. Whenever we close any kind of a road, before we actually close the road, all the emergency services, SPVM, Urgence Santé, and the fire department, they're all advised ahead of time before we even close anything, because just for that reason, they have to know that they won't be able to get through, and they have to find an alternate route to go around. So they are advised before we close any road.
On that comment, now I've been coming to these meetings for many, many years, and I also know that when you close, or when the road is closed, it's closed to traffic, it's closed to whatever, but it has never been closed to the fire. And that was specifically one of the reasons we never had the speed bumps there to begin with, because it would have slowed down their
Yeah, that's always the issue with
Exactly.
Westminster.
So I'm just
same
saying
thing, yeah.
that maybe when you said you were closing the roads, they didn't understand that you were closing it to them, because it's never happened before.
Well, like I said, when
Yeah.
when the road is closed, the
That's-
road is closed. There shouldn't be ever a reason why a fire truck can't go through, quite honestly. And it's not like they were digging or anything like that. They took off a layer of asphalt. They could have gone down an inch and come back an inch on the other side when they went through.
Well,
That's a different story. I don't know what, at that interaction, what happened there, so.
For me, I'm a vegetable seller, and you're speaking apples and
so like I
oranges.
said,
I really have no idea
Yeah,
about
they're-
asphalt
but
or
they are
anything like
advised.
that. What I know about is that
Yeah.
I saw this with my own eyes and videotaped it. But no one knew what was going on, or could give him the answers that he needed.
Yeah.
That was my take on that. The Easton. Do you realize that I've gone through almost 6 years of... That's a good one. Thank you so much. Aggravation. My business has been compromised, my family's been compromised, my home has been compromised, my finances have been compromised. Everything about me has been compromised to the point where, what else can you do to me now? Do you know what I'm saying?
The project has gone on, in my
it's
mind,
way
way too
too
long.
long.
It's 3 years. They bought that land 3 years ago.
They had to decontaminate.
They bought the
Then
land
they-
3 years ago. But still, it's way too long.
No, they didn't buy the land 3 years ago.
When did they buy the land? 3 years ago?
3 years ago, we had the,
So they bought the land in 2020, and the schedule of work started 2021. Still, 3 years is too long. No question about it.
so who did the decontaminating of the land?
They
Was
did
that
after
you?
they bought it.
Okay, so it was done by them?
Yeah.
So why does it feel like, I mean,
It feels like 6 years. I'll give you that. It feels like 6 years.
it has,
Yeah,
it has.
yeah.
No, seriously, I'm going to have to check my photo records, but I'm sure that this has been going on for a very, very, close
It's
to
like
6 years.
3
Over
years.
5 anyways, 3 plus COVID.
No, 3 years. Anyway, but again, it's not the point. The point is
It's
that
been a
it's
long
too
time.
long. It's too long.
too long.
Absolutely too long.
Okay, so how do we deal with
Like I
this?
said, we're meeting with them tomorrow.
At what time?
I don't know. In the
Does anyone
afternoon
know?
sometime.
Pardon me?
In the afternoon sometime.
In the afternoon
Yeah.
sometime? Okay.
Thank you.
Do we get to know what happens?
No, you don't get to.
Of course
Thank
not.
you.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, we'll go to the questions that were asked online. So first question was asked by Kevin Aladdin, 59 Courtney. When is the Easton project going to be completed? It's taking way too long, and we sincerely hope that there's compensation being due to the town now. Second question, why was the paving on Avon completed knowing the Easton and complex work was not yet completed? Why was this done when 3 main east-west routes are closed? So the last schedule for the Easton, the last schedule that we had heard was June 2024, and obviously that's not happened. As I mentioned a few times, we're meeting with the promoters tomorrow to get an update and to try and put some pressure to see what can be done to alleviate this. And in terms of the work that was done on Avon, as I said, it was part of a grant that we couldn't just let go. So the work is more related to that. And Mrs. Monorgan will even attest to this. We've been speaking about that work and trying to get those pipes underdone, but City of Montreal won't do the pipes, so at least we said let's pave and not lose that money that we were given on the grant. So thank you for your questions, Kevin Aladdin. Next question comes from Howard Mitchell, 121 Brock South. What do the bylaws state about the placement of a heat pump regarding its proximity to a property line and a window? Does the following situation conform to the bylaws? A neighbor's large heat pump placed on our property line and aligned exactly under my kitchen window. Thank you. Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you for your question, Mr. Howard. I have asked the town inspector to look into this issue to find out, first of all, if the heat pump was installed and they asked for a permit, and secondly, if it was without a permit or with a permit, if it was according to the codes. So I will contact you as soon as I can and as soon as I have an answer, but they will be looking into this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Thank you for your question. Next question comes from Joyce Tiber, 162 Westminster North. The question is about the Norway maple tree on the corner of our driveway. It's not a particularly healthy town tree, and so far has caused $12,000 damage to my car when a branch fell through the roof of my car. This was covered by insurance, and although I did give the information to my insurance company, they declined to follow through, not worth their time. Now another branch is hanging over my driveway and bark is falling on my car. My car has also depreciated by $5,000, estimate by Spinelli, and our household insurance has gone up by $500. How do I get this tree, a town tree, removed? Our neighbors, Jay and Peggy Garland, are also in agreement that this town tree be removed. Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks for your question, Joyce. Well, as you know, we did have that tree inspected in January of this year, and it was found to be in good health. So even though it may not look great, it is stable, and there wasn't any reason to remove it at that time. and we will only remove trees if they're sick or dangerous. And you mentioned danger, so we will have somebody from Public Works go over there to just double check that nothing has changed about the tree, and hopefully it is still healthy. But unless we get report from an arborist that it's in ill health, that's not, we wouldn't be removing a tree. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. James Mullally, 112 Broughton. We are restricted to using leaf blowers for 2 periods in the spring and fall, but the city has no such restrictions. Also, gas blowers have been banned, but are still being used by the city or city contractors. Why is this the case? I would think the city should lead by example. I suggest that the restrictions on leaf blowers for citizens be revised to allow use as required, since glass blowers are not allowed. Restrictions could be based on the power output of the allowable blowers. Councillor Yulin?
Yes, thanks for your question, James. Well, we don't have any intention of changing our restrictions on leaf blowers. We're going to stick with the allowance of electric blowers and the prohibition of gas blowers. But I have to say, I do agree with you with respect to the Public Works Department. I certainly could give you my own opinion on that they should be adhering to those same restrictions, and we'll certainly have a talk about that in caucus and perhaps have our Environment Department look in on that policy. Thanks very much for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you very much. Merle McPhail, 8023 Avon. Thanks for paving Avon. It has changed our lives for the residents. Unfortunately, the one drain for the whole south stretch of Avon is in very bad shape, so at some stage, everything will have to be torn up and be replaced. My question is about the Broughton and why it is still closed, as it just appears to be a staging area for Montreal Works. I've not seen a soul there, even to use a porta potty. Second question regards the large metal container used by the condo company, as we would like the bus stop moved back to its old spot. So, Ms. McPhail, as I mentioned before, this work that was done now was just a quick repaving, so we didn't lose the grant money. The idea is that the work has to be done to change the drains. You're absolutely right, but that work has to be coordinated with the City of Montreal, and it's not in their next couple of years' budget. I've seen that budget, and it's not even listed in their budget right now. In terms of why Broughton is still closed for the Montreal Works, I don't have that answer, I have to be honest with you. We can do a little bit of follow-up with the people undertaking the work, or the maître d'œuvre, to see what the story is there and when that will be cleared up. In terms of the large metal container, that was brought up before by another resident in the room, so that's something that we will bring up when they meet with the contractors tomorrow. Thank you for your question. Next question comes from Colin Broadhead, 148 Percival. As the exterior work on the new Easton building seems to be complete, when can we expect a new sidewalk to be built and a new light post installed? Even if the work on the interior continues, can we at least not get the sidewalk back? It's a good question, Mr. Broadhead. They are going to be responsible for doing that work. They're the ones who destroyed it. They'll be the ones responsible to reconstruct that sidewalk. And there's actually speaking, we had plans about reconfiguring it to make it a little bit safer to cross and everything like that. So hopefully we'll get a better idea what the schedule looks like, again, when we meet with them later on in the week. Next question comes from Andre Chenier, 430 Hudson. What is the loan amount and amortization period for a rec center loan, duration of the loan? And do we now know at what interest rate? What are our short-term loans to cover the grants and at what interest rate? So I asked Councillor Feeney to answer. The town has not yet taken a long-term loan, as we've been able to manage the cost to dates with our appropriated surpluses. When we do proceed with a loan, it will be presented and approved at a public meeting, so all residents will be made aware of the total amount, amortization, and interest rates. And in terms of the second question, we do have a revolving line of credit with RBC for up to $16.3 million for the temporary financing of the construction of the new rec center, should we need it. The rate is prime minus 0.55%. This agreement will allow us to wait until a later date to proceed with our long-term financing of the facility when the rates are more favorable. To date, we have not had to use short-term financing, as we've had sufficient funds to cover the costs. Thank you for your questions. Next question from Paul Kenton. Rec center grants are only received after the project is completed. This means a 6-month delay until summer 2025, which will cost us a significant amount of interest on outstanding bridge loans. Most days there is less activity on the site than there might be, just as Sajo's Eastern project is often a ghost site. Could the town pressure the project manager to adhere to the original completion dates and have more crews and subcontractors on site? And by rearranging site storage, there will be enough room to put the concrete shell of the pool in this fall with interior mechanicals installed over the winter, possibly even some rough landscaping done. Can the town find out why this pool subcontractor is not being brought in? Let's get a little bit more processing, parallel processing to be done. Mr. Kenton, I appreciate it, but we actually have professionals who are running the project for us. We actually have project managers, engineers. So I don't know what your credentials are, but we have actually engineers overseeing that work for us as well. In terms of the grants, we're actually negotiating to receive some of the grants even before the project has been completed, so we're still in the process of that, and we've not had to use any of our bridge loans. So right now, there is not any interest being accrued as we speak right now. Thank you for your questions. Next question comes from Jeremiah Kane, 146 Sheraton. As far as I could tell, our streets on Sheraton Drive fared the rainfall better this summer than last summer. Great news. I'm curious to whether there were any specific actions taken by the town that led to this better outcome and whether we've built these into regular maintenance procedures. Councillor Yulin, please.
Well, thank you for your question, Jeremiah. I wish I could take credit or the council could take credit for that, but no, in fact, we did not do anything differently. We got lucky in Montreal-West. The mayor mentioned that in his report at the beginning of the meeting. And unlike the West Island communities and some others in Quebec that got really badly hit, we were not here in Montreal-West. And so we did not have, I don't know that we had really any reports of flooding in the city, but that we were lucky this time. Thanks for your question.
Thank you for your questions. Next question comes from Peter Cooney, 101 Brock South. Now that Avon is paved, is there a way that the truck population can be controlled, or are we back to square one again? Pure later trucks are the worst. No excuse, they are delivering in the area. Lawn maintenance trucks, the next, banging their trailers around. Is much smoother now, though. Parmalat trucks gone, thankfully, but the odd transport truck goes by. There has to be a way to control it more by informing transport control officers. Has Lachine submitted their truck route plan yet? Councillor Small-Pennefather, please.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Cooney. Yes, so the town has been working on this file for several years. We're still waiting for a response from Lachine, from the municipality of Lachine, unfortunately. The Ministère des Transports de Québec is very interested in this file, so that's very good news. But we do, unfortunately, delivery trucks that have to make daily deliveries are allowed to use that road and that access. But again, the ball is in Lachine's court, and we're hoping the MTQ could possibly help push this file further for us. So thank you for your question, Mr. Cooney.
Thank you. Asher Waldman, 167 Brock North, asks, it's been the Easton condo. It's been 4 years since construction began. Some windows are covered with torn plastic sheets, facade areas unfinished, sidewalk is broken, and a temporary traffic light is a hazard for pedestrian and drivers. Could the town force completion of the facade and stripe and sidewalk and permanently install the traffic light? So that question's been answered a couple of times. Like I said, we're meeting with the contractors tomorrow, with the promoters tomorrow. Second question, the town and the developer agreed to locate the Montreal-West Library in the Easton project. If the project will not be completed by 2025, the library that serves 1,000 members will have to close. How does the town plan to resolve the issue? The town originally had negotiated a possible lease with them in the new building, but the library committee decided that that's not where they wanted to go. They preferred to go in their current location, and we've actually been helping subsidize them in that location. So we're going to continue to work with them. We're supposed to have a meeting last week that had to be postponed, but we're going to continue working with them on the long-term plans for the library to see how we can go moving forward. But the library committee themselves decided that they didn't want to come to this building here. Next question comes from Louis Brinkmeyer, 40 Ballantine North. Pourriez-vous, s'il vous plaît, clarifier comment s'est gérée la fermeture des voies liées à la construction du complexe du condo Easton au coin d'Avon et Westminster? Qui est responsable de s'assurer que les impacts à la circulation sont minimisés et que Le tout se fait de manière optimale pour les citoyens du quartier. Ce matin, lundi le 26 août, à 7h30, un camion bloquait complètement la circulation sur Westminster en direction nord et il n'y avait aucun travailleur sur place pour la signalisation pour diriger le trafic, ce qui a causé des problèmes à plusieurs automobilistes. Pour vous répondre, Monsieur Brinkmeyer, la responsabilité, oui, il tombe sur le développeur, mais la ville a toujours quelque chose à dire. Ça veut dire que nous autres, on donne des avis, on va discuter avec notre sécurité publique, les travaux publics, pour s'assurer que la demande qui a été faite par l'entrepreneur ne peut pas causer des mauvaises surprises ou pour minimiser, comme vous avez dit, minimiser les inconvénients. Mais il y a des fois que malheureusement ça arrive quand même. Mais à la fin, la responsabilité tombe sur le développeur et la ville a un mot à dire là-dessus. Merci pour votre question. Next question from Sylvia Gervais, 222 Westminster North. We're worried for the neighbors at the corner of Wolseley and Nelson. Why is a particular house in such disrepair? Fire hazard at the back, front steps, danger of falls, holes in upper sidewall. I know you've been working on this. Thank you. Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sylvia, for asking the question. As you mentioned, we do keep on working on this project. It is unfortunately a very slow process. However, we do continue. We are in conversations with the owners, and unfortunately, I don't feel free to talk about the details because this is a private matter. But I want to reassure you that we are talking and proceeding and see how we can solve this issue. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you. Last question from Ellen Moore, 122 Percival. Councillor Yulin, have you found a solution to the grave dilemma of using salt on the roads and sidewalks in winter to the great detriment of the St. Lawrence River, the local gardens, and also pavements? If not, please consult the Concordia University Engineering Department for advice. Many thanks. Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks for your question, Ellen. I'm afraid we have not yet found a solution to the dilemma of using salt on the roads. I agree with you that it is an issue and needs to be taken seriously. I don't know what you're referring to with regards to the Concordia University Engineering Department, but if you have any more information about them other than that they might have an answer, maybe you can send me an email and I can look into that further. Thanks very much for your question, Ellen.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the first question period. We're going to get back to our agenda. The next two resolutions concern the U-Haul building, not the big U-Haul building on St. Jacques. We're talking about the small U-Haul building further down in Montreal-West. There's a piece of that land that belongs to the city that came back to us after the Turcotte change, after the Turcotte work was done. U-Haul wants to buy that land to expand their operations there, which is fine. And in the meantime, they've been renting the land from us for their parking. So we have two resolutions. One to extend the lease for the parking on that land that belongs to us. And the second is to accept a purchase offer that they've made to us to actually buy the land and take it over. So if I could have somebody move l'entente de location au stationnement, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, attendu que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest a accepté, en vertu de la résolution 202-312-13004, de louer les lots 6, 5, 6, 9, 2, 3, 8 et 6, 5, 6, 9, 2, 3, 9 entre la rue publique et la propriété de U-Haul Co. Canada, Ltd., située au 8101 Boulevard Montréal-Toronto. Attendu que ce bail a été renouvelé du 1er mars au 31 août par la résolution 202-402-19006, attendu que le 18 juillet 2024, U-Haul Co. Canada Ltd. a notifié la ville de son intérêt à la renouveler une autre fois. En conséquence, je propose que la ville consente à renouveler l'édité entente de location du 1er septembre au 28 février 2024, suivant les mêmes termes et conditions.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait. Acceptance of purchase offer for the same lots.
Whereas the reconfiguration of through fares in the wake of the Turcotte Interchange project has brought about the release of certain parcels of land in the part of the municipal territory located south of Ronald Drive. Whereas the lots quoted in the title are between the property of U-Haul CO Canada Limited and the public road at 8101 Boulevard Montréal, Toronto. Whereas Council moved to withdraw them from the town's public domain by virtue of Resolution Number 202-104-26-004, whereas they were officially transferred to the Town of Montreal-Ouest by virtue of Decree 1431-2022, adopted by the Quebec government on July 6, 2022. Whereas it is deemed in the interest of both the town and the adjacent owner to allow the private redevelopment of these lots. Whereas, at the end of the negotiation process, the town has received on August 14, 2024, an amended purchase offer from U-Haul Company Canada Limited. Therefore, I move that 1, that the irrevocable offer of the purchase of lots 6569238 and 6569239 be accepted for a sales price of $1.4 million plus applicable taxes and other considerations. 2, that the mayor of the town of Montreal-Ouest, Mr. Benny Masala, and the town DG, Maître Raphael Destasio, be authorized to sign this offer as well as any related documents.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pen. Father, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Approval of disbursements for June 22 to August 23, 2024.
I move that the list of accounts payable from June 22nd to August 23rd, 2024, totaling $3,354,399.32, be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pen. Father, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Délégation des pouvoirs pour le mois de juillet et août 2024.
Je propose que soient approuvés les rapports de la directrice générale concernant l'exercice des pouvoirs délégués en vertu du règlement numéro 12005-002 pour le mois de juillet et août 2024.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Parfait. Merci. Urban Department Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program, SPAIP, a meeting that took place on August 7th.
I move to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on August 7, 2024. To approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting, in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 5658 Roxton, removal of the pavers from the front stairs and landing, and painting the front stairs, landing, and foundation wall. 213 Bedbrook, replacement of 2 doors. 107 Brock North, replacement of 5 windows and a door. 227 Wolseley North, proposal of a new garage door for the reconstruction of the detached garage in the backyard. 454 Brock North, replacement of 12 windows and a patio door. 141-141A, modification of the commercial sign on the window, Westminster North. To approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting, in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 247 Brock North, recapping of the front stairs, landing, sidewalls, and removal of the masonry planters. 105, 107 Northview, replacement of 19 windows and 3 doors. 129 Percival, replacement of 27 windows. 253 Strathern North, demolition and reconstruction of the front stairs and landing, an addition of a railing section. 5759 Westminster North, removal of the awning type sign and installation of a facade style sign for a new commercial unit at 57 Westminster North. 41 Rugby, replacement of cladding on front facade as well as the soffits and fascia on the entire roof overhang. To defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 307 Ronald, closing of the second floor balcony into interior living space.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. SPAIP for August 21st, 2024.
I move, 1, to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on August 21st, 2024. 2, to approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. Address: 105 Westminster North, replacement of 16 windows. 8 Valentine South, replacement of the patio door. 91-93 Roxton, demolition and reconstruction of the front stairs and landing. 3, to approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 62-64 Radcliffe, replacement of 5 basement windows.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'm sorry, I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Public Works replacement project of 2 fire hydrants, plant financing.
Whereas 2 fire hydrants must be replaced near 154 Bedbrook and 345 Westminster North. Whereas the total cost of this project is estimated to be $75,000 before taxes, including professional fees, purchase, and replacement work. Whereas the said project is part of the 2024 3-year plan for capital expenditures, therefore, I move that the replacement project for 2 fire hydrants be financed by the unallocated surplus.
Thank you very much. Councillor Small-Pennefather, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Infrastructure project funding for Courtney and Fenwick.
I move to approve the recommendation of the treasurer that the following expenditure for 2 infrastructure projects be financed by the operating budget of the current fiscal year. $24,051.54 for Courtney project and $16,435 for Fenwick project.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you, Councillor Yulin. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Amendment to Resolution 2024-0527-014, 2024 Conferences for Managers.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, whereas council by virtue of Resolution 202-40527-014 authorized town managers to attend conferences for purposes of professional development. Therefore, I move that council authorize the Director of Public Works to attend the American Public Works Association Annual Conference in Atlanta, Georgia from September 8th to September 11th, 2024. And secondly, that the town pay the registration costs.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We're moving to second question period. This one deals only with topics that were raised in the agenda today. So if there's anybody in the room, and Miss Nichols, can I apologize. When I said before, you asked me a question before about will we have an update about after that meeting? I apologize. There won't be one after the meeting, but at our next public meeting, I'll do a resume. I apologize. I misspoke. Okay?
So there's no possibility that we can go online?
No, it's not, it doesn't go online. Thank you very much. If there's any other questions?
I didn't mean meeting, I meant the synopsis.
Yeah, the synopsis will come, it'll come like at our next public meeting. Okay? Thank you. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I shouldn't have answered that way. Je peux avoir quelqu'un pour faire la levée de la séance, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Je le prie.
Merci, tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Thank you very much, folks. Have a good evening.